How to understand that habits after 65 matter more than in your youth. While many of us spend our younger years thinking we have all the time in the world to develop better habits, the reality changes dramatically as we age. After 65, the habits you maintain don't just affect your daily life, they become the primary determinants of your independence, mental clarity, and overall quality of life. When you're young, your body forgives many transgressions. Skip exercise for a month in your 20s, and you might notice minimal changes. But after 65, just 2 weeks without movement can lead to significant loss that takes 3 times longer to rebuild. Your metabolism becomes less forgiving, and recovery slows dramatically. Consider cognitive habits as well. The brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to form new connections, doesn't disappear with age, but it requires more consistent stimulation. What you might have absorbed effortlessly in your youth now demands deliberate practice. Learning new skills, engaging in meaningful conversations, or solving complex problems becomes your cognitive insurance policy against decline. Social habits take on new significance too. In your youth, friendships might have seemed abundant and easily replaceable. After 65, intentional social connection becomes vital for both mental and physical health. Research consistently shows that seniors with strong social habits live longer, experience less cognitive decline, and report greater life satisfaction than those who become isolated. Sleep habits, which many of us neglect throughout our working years, become crucial after 65. Quality sleep is when your brain clears harmful proteins that contribute to cognitive decline. Poor sleep habits in your senior years accelerate aging and compromise your immune system when you need it most. What makes this reality challenging is that changing habits becomes more difficult with age. Neural pathways become more established, and routines more ingrained. This doesn't mean change is impossible, far from it, but it does require more conscious effort and consistency. The good news is that positive habits yield greater relative benefits after 65. When you maintain physical activity, your mobility advantage over sedentary peers becomes striking. When you practice cognitive engagement, your mental sharpness stands out more prominently. The gap between those with healthy habits and those without widens significantly. So rather than viewing habit formation as something you should have mastered in youth, recognize that now is when your habits truly define your experience. Every walk you take, book you read, nutritious meal you prepare, and friend you connect with is an investment in a quality of life that younger people often take for granted. The stakes are higher, yes, but so are the rewards of conscious living at this stage of life. How to embrace this heightened importance of habits after 65 requires a shift in mindset. You need to recognize that what might have seemed like small daily choices before now represent significant investments in your future independence. Each day becomes a building block for the months and years ahead, with compounding returns on your habit investments. Consider your nutritional habits. In your youth, your body might have tolerated processed foods, excessive sugar, or irregular eating patterns. After 65, your nutritional choices directly impact inflammation levels, energy availability, and even brain function. Research shows that anti-inflammatory diets rich in vegetables, healthy fats, and lean proteins can significantly reduce the risk of cognitive decline and mobility issues. What you eat doesn't just affect how you feel today, it literally shapes the structure and function of your cells for years to come. Financial habits also take on new dimensions after 65. While younger people might recover from financial missteps over time, your financial disciplines now directly determine your access to care, housing options, and ability to participate in meaningful activities. The habit of regularly reviewing your financial situation, avoiding impulsive purchases, and maintaining clear boundaries around spending becomes essential for preserving your independence and choices. Stress management becomes another critical habit area. Your nervous system becomes more sensitive to chronic stress with age, and the physical effects, from compromised immunity to disrupted sleep, are more pronounced. The habits of mindfulness, setting appropriate boundaries, and processing emotions effectively aren't luxuries but necessities for maintaining your well-being. Even 5 minutes of deliberate breathing or meditation daily can create measurable improvements in your stress resilience. Perhaps most importantly, cultivating the habit of adaptability serves you tremendously after 65. The world continues to change rapidly, and those who maintain flexibility in their thinking and willingness to adjust their approaches stay engaged with life rather than withdrawing from it. Whether it's learning to use new technologies, adjusting exercise routines to accommodate changing physical needs, or finding new ways to connect with others, your adaptability directly influences your continued participation in a meaningful life. Remember that habit formation at any age follows the same fundamental principles. Start small, create environmental cues, establish rewards, and practice consistency. The difference now is that you have the wisdom to understand why these habits matter so profoundly. You can draw on decades of self-knowledge about what motivates you and what obstacles you're likely to encounter. This is not a time to berate yourself for habits you wish you'd established earlier. Instead, it's an opportunity to recognize the powerful agency you still possess. Every morning presents a new opportunity to reinforce the patterns that will support your independence, clarity, and joy. While younger people might take their future for granted, you have the perspective to truly appreciate how your present actions create your future reality, and that awareness itself can become your greatest motivation for positive change. How to integrate these insights into your daily life after 65 requires a strategic approach that acknowledges both the challenges and opportunities of this stage. You might find that focusing on habit stacking, connecting new behaviors to existing routines, becomes particularly effective. For instance, if you already have a morning coffee ritual, use those few minutes to practice gratitude or mental exercises that strengthen cognitive pathways. These small integrations bypass the resistance that often comes with trying to establish entirely new routines. The power of environment cannot be overstated in your habit formation journey after 65. Your physical surroundings significantly influence your behavior, often more than willpower alone. Consider reorganizing your living space to make healthy choices the path of least resistance. Place nutritious snacks at eye level in your kitchen. Keep your walking shoes by the door. Position books you want to read in comfortable, well-lit areas, and display your exercise equipment where you regularly see it. These environmental cues can trigger positive behaviors without requiring constant conscious decision-making. One often overlooked aspect of habit formation in later life is the importance of identity-based habits. When you begin to see yourself as someone who walks daily rather than someone who should walk more, the behavior becomes integrated into your self-concept. This identity shift creates powerful internal motivation that transcends the need for external rewards. Ask yourself regularly, what would a vibrant, engaged person in their later years do in this situation? Then allow your actions to align with that identity. The concept of habit minimums becomes especially valuable after 65. On days when energy or motivation might be lower, having a non-negotiable minimum version of your habit ensures continuity. Perhaps your standard exercise routine is 30 minutes, but your minimum is 5 minutes of gentle movement. By maintaining this floor, you preserve the neural pathways of the habit even during challenging periods. This approach acknowledges the natural fluctuations in energy and capacity that come with aging while preventing the complete abandonment of beneficial practices. Community support takes on new dimensions in habit formation after 65. Consider finding or creating accountability partnerships with peers who share similar health and wellness goals. These connections can provide both structure and meaningful social interaction, essentially allowing one positive habit to reinforce another. Whether it's a walking group, a book club that stimulates cognitive engagement, or a cooking circle that explores nutritious recipes, these communal experiences create multiple layers of benefit. Technology, often viewed as the domain of younger generations, can become a powerful ally in your habit development. Smartphone apps that track water intake, remind you to move hourly, or guide you through brief meditation sessions can provide the gentle nudges that help establish consistency. Wearable devices that monitor sleep patterns or physical activity offer objective feedback that can be surprisingly motivating. Don't dismiss these tools based on stereotypes about technology and age. Many are specifically designed with user-friendly interfaces that can support your wellness journey. The practice of habit reflection deserves special attention after 65. Taking time weekly to review which habits are serving you well and which might need adjustment creates a feedback loop for continuous improvement. This reflective practice acknowledges that your needs may change more rapidly now than in earlier decades. Perhaps an exercise routine that worked well last year now causes joint discomfort, or a social commitment that once energized you now feels depleting. This regular reassessment allows your habits to evolve alongside your changing circumstances. Remember that progress in habit formation rarely follows a linear path at any age, and this is particularly true after 65. Expect setbacks and view them as valuable information rather than failures. If you find a particular habit consistently difficult to maintain, consider whether it needs modification rather than abandonment. Maybe the timing doesn't align with your energy patterns, the intensity needs adjustment, or the approach simply doesn't resonate with your preferences. This flexible, problem-solving mindset prevents discouragement and keeps you engaged in the process. Perhaps most importantly, approach your habit journey with self-compassion. The heightened stakes of habits after 65 can sometimes create anxiety or rigid thinking that actually undermines your efforts. Acknowledge that you are navigating this stage with the body and mind you have now, not the one you had decades ago. Celebrate small victories, forgive inevitable lapses, and recognize that the very act of consciously shaping your habits at this stage of life represents a profound form of self-care and wisdom that many never achieve. How to harness these insights into a sustainable lifestyle requires understanding that the journey of habit formation after 65 is not about perfection but progression. You're not aiming for an idealized version of aging, but rather creating your own personalized approach to this significant life stage. The wisdom you've accumulated over decades gives you a unique advantage. You know yourself better than ever before. Consider the power of your morning routine as a foundation for daily success. The first hour after waking sets the neurochemical tone for your entire day. A morning that includes even brief physical movement, proper hydration, and a moment of mindfulness or gratitude creates a cascade of positive effects that influence every subsequent hour. Many successful seniors find that protecting this morning time from external demands becomes increasingly important for maintaining their well-being. Your relationship with technology deserves particular attention after 65. While digital tools can support your habits, they can also fragment your attention and create unnecessary stress. Developing clear boundaries around screen time, perhaps designating certain hours as tech-free, can protect your cognitive resources and sleep quality. Remember that your generation has something increasingly rare in today's world: the ability to sustain attention and engage deeply rather than superficially with activities. This capacity for deep engagement becomes a significant advantage in building meaningful habits. The concept of purpose cannot be overlooked in your habit development. Research consistently shows that having a clear sense of why you're here, what contribution you're still making, dramatically influences health outcomes after 65. Habits connected to your deeper purpose carry an emotional resonance that makes them more sustainable. Whether it's mentoring younger people, creating art, volunteering, or maintaining family traditions, clarifying how your daily habits serve your larger purpose creates powerful intrinsic motivation. Physical habits benefit enormously from the principle of variety after 65. While consistency matters, your body responds best to diverse movement patterns that challenge different systems. Consider incorporating balance exercises, flexibility work, strength training, and cardiovascular activity throughout your week rather than focusing exclusively on one approach. This variety not only prevents overuse injuries, but also stimulates more comprehensive neural pathways that support overall function. Learning to distinguish between discomfort and pain becomes essential in maintaining physical habits. The natural aches of movement in an aging body differ from warning signals that something is wrong. Developing body awareness, the ability to accurately interpret your physical sensations, allows you to safely push boundaries when appropriate and respect limitations when necessary. This discernment often requires patience and practice but becomes invaluable for sustaining activity throughout your later years. The habits of mental flexibility deserve special emphasis after 65. Your brain, like any other part of your body, responds to the demands you place on it. Deliberately exposing yourself to different viewpoints, attempting unfamiliar mental challenges, or exploring new cultural experiences creates cognitive stimulation that traditional brain games often fail to provide. The willingness to occasionally feel like a beginner again, to embrace the humility of learning something new, keeps your thinking supple and resistant to the rigidity that can accompany aging. Your relationship with time itself often shifts after 65, affecting how you approach habits. Without the external structure of full-time employment, you may find yourself needing to create your own rhythms and boundaries. Many seniors discover that blocking specific times for their priority habits, rather than leaving them to chance, dramatically improves consistency. This time-blocking approach acknowledges that even in retirement, unstructured time tends to fill with less intentional activities unless consciously protected. The habit of regular celebration deserves more attention than it typically receives. Taking time to acknowledge your consistency and progress, perhaps through a simple journaling practice or sharing with friends, activates reward pathways in your brain that reinforce positive behaviors. These celebrations need not be elaborate. Simply pausing to recognize when you've honored your commitments to yourself provides powerful reinforcement that sustains motivation during challenging periods. Remember that your habits don't just benefit you, they influence everyone around you. When you maintain strong physical, mental, and social practices after 65, you silently mentor younger generations about what's possible in later life. Your grandchildren don't just hear what you say about health and vitality, they observe how you live it. This legacy aspect of habit formation adds another dimension of meaning to your daily choices and can provide motivation on days when you might otherwise falter. As you continue developing habits that serve your well-being after 65, maintain perspective about the ongoing nature of this journey. There is no arrival point where all your habits reach perfection. Rather, this is a continuous conversation between your intentions and your reality, between your aspirations and your changing circumstances. The very process of engaging consciously with how you live each day, regardless of the specific outcomes, represents a form of wisdom that defines successful aging far more accurately than any external measure ever could. How to transform this understanding about habits after 65 into a lifelong approach to aging well begins with embracing a profound truth. Successful aging isn't something that suddenly starts at retirement, it's cultivated through decades of small choices that compound over time. The heightened importance of habits after 65 actually illuminates how we might approach our entire adult lives differently. Consider viewing your habits through the lens of future self-continuity, the psychological connection you feel with the person you'll become in 10, 20, or 30 years. Research shows that people who maintain a strong emotional connection to their future selves make more far-sighted decisions today. You can strengthen this connection through simple visualization practices, imagining yourself at 80 or 90, still engaged with life, still mobile, still sharp. What would that version of you wish you had prioritized today? This perspective reveals that many habits we dismiss as unimportant in our 30s, 40s, and 50s are quietly laying groundwork for our later decades. The flexibility you maintain through regular stretching in midlife preserves mobility later. The nutritional choices you make in your working years influence cellular health decades later. The financial disciplines you practice in your earning period directly determine your options after 65. Yet there's a delicate balance to maintain. While future planning matters tremendously, being overly fixated on the distant future can rob you of present enjoyment. The most sustainable approach involves finding habits that serve both your current well-being and your future self. Walking in nature, for instance, provides immediate stress relief while contributing to long-term cardiovascular health. Creative pursuits offer present joy while building cognitive reserves for later years. Recognizing the escalating importance of habits after 65 also invites reflection on our cultural narratives about aging. Many societies implicitly treat the post-retirement years as an epilogue rather than a vital chapter of life with its own potential for growth and contribution. This mindset can unconsciously influence how seriously we take habit formation in our later decades. By rejecting these limiting narratives, you reclaim agency over your experience of aging. The wisdom you develop after 65 about the critical nature of habits creates an opportunity for intergenerational exchange. While younger people may have energy and technological fluency to offer, you possess something equally valuable: perspective on what truly matters over the long arc of a life. This wisdom about priorities, sustainability, and the compounding effects of daily choices represents a form of longevity literacy that our youth-oriented culture desperately needs. One particularly valuable insight that emerges after 65 is the recognition that consistency ultimately matters more than intensity in habit formation. The daily walk that happens without fail contributes more to long-term well-being than the occasional intense workout followed by days of inactivity. The regular social connections you maintain provide more sustained support than sporadic grand gatherings. This principle of minimum effective dose, applied consistently, becomes a powerful framework for sustainable habits at any age. Your relationship with time itself often deepens after 65, bringing valuable perspective to habit development. The realization that certain opportunities are finite can sharpen your discernment about where to invest your energy. This isn't a morbid fixation, but rather a clarifying force that helps eliminate the non-essential and focus on habits that genuinely enhance your experience of life. This temporal perspective represents one of the unique advantages of your life stage. As you navigate the heightened importance of habits after 65, remember that you're pioneering what may be an entirely new life stage. With increasing longevity, many people now spend more years in active retirement than they did in childhood and adolescence combined. The habits that sustain well-being through this extended period are still being discovered and refined. Your conscious attention to what works for you doesn't just serve your individual journey, it contributes to our collective understanding of how humans can thrive throughout unprecedented lifespans. The ultimate wisdom about habits after 65 may be recognizing that while their importance intensifies, their fundamental purpose remains unchanged throughout life. To align your daily actions with your deepest values and create a life that feels worth living, not just in some distant future, but in each passing day.